Yes. Insomniac, Spider-Man. Insomniac, Spider-Man. Insomniac, Spider-Man. Insomniac, Spider-Man. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Let's talk about it. So, I've been meaning to talk on this for a while now, but now that I'm finally getting around to it, I have no idea where to start. But, as you all should know, I absolutely love Marvel's Spider-Man 1, I guess, and Miles Morales. Everything from the story to the characters, even down to the little Easter eggs and references. I love everything that they're doing with this universe. And Spider-Man 2 has been my most anticipated game for quite some time now, and it is so goddamn close and yet so far away. And I hate to use that cliche term, but fuck it. I cannot wait. And like I said, I've been foaming from the mouth to talk about this and just get my hands on it, but I've been busy with other videos and all that. So, here I finally am, and this could be a long video. I'm going to try to attempt to make it and fit it into a decent, watchable amount of time in one video, but I'm personally going to say that I might not be able to keep my word on that, so we'll see. But enough of that. Let's dive into the web of thoughts and opinions I can pull out of my ass and get our hands dirty with the nitty-gritty details of everything. So, first up is the overarching story, the main takeaway, I would think, which is of course the plot, where we have our two Spider-Men that we all love so much, facing off against new villains and new threats in new areas of New York. It takes place 10 months after the second game, and honestly, at this point, I don't need to do this whole deep dive info drop analysis thing, and I sure as hell don't want to categorize everything in the video, but if I don't, it's going to be a shit show, so let's just get on with it and fanboy. We have Peter and Miles both active and playable, which is awesome. We have Kraven the Hunter, we have Harry Osborn, and we have the Symbiote, which will of course eventually lead to Venom, which at this point I'm pretty sure we've all seen him, and he is an absolute monstrous unit, and I love it. But staying on the plot, where Venom even comes from, actually, a major thing in this game is the Symbiote, and of course brings Symbiote Spider-Man, and god damn, it looks phenomenal. All the gameplay and abilities that we'll get into, the visuals, the design of it. I know a lot of people don't really like the design, and it's been kind of controversial because of what Insomniac's done with it. I, for one, am loving it. I've been admiring it like a kid with a toy from last Christmas, and I still haven't even taken it out of the box. So, yeah, you better bet your ass I'm excited to get my hands on it. But going even further, even deeper physically, pause, but underneath the suit, Pete is changing. There is angst, there is emotion, and I personally think Yuri Lowenthal is absolutely killing it. But reminder, this is the internet, so people will find something to complain about no matter what, with people saying things like, oh, it's too edgy, it's too bad, it's forced. But I don't see it that way. I actually think it is just so raw and guttural that it just fits perfectly. Or I could be biased because I'm too excited for this, but I don't know, fucking sue me. But that's all in jest. On a serious note though, the symbiote suit and Peter's shift is going to play a crucial part in the game overall, and it's going to be a major plot point. And in the game's description, well, not even the description, hell, look at the game itself. It is Spider-Man, and a major part of Spider-Man is the duality, and the balancing act that is living a double life. And this of course applies to both Peter and Miles, as we've seen them try to balance their lives out and struggle to do so in and out of the mask. And it makes them all the more lovable and relatable, and I can go on and on about it, but for this, it all gets messed up and effed up when the symbiote is thrown in. And we've all already seen it, at least some of it. I already fawned over the suit itself enough, but diving deeper into the effect that it has on Peter and will have on the game overall. Hopefully, it's going to be front and center. Like I mentioned, it's important to the story and his character. The symbiote has an effect on Peter like no other, but there is a huge misconception, and that for some reason never dies down, and it's that the black suit makes Peter evil, which just isn't the case. I really don't know who watched Tobey Maguire dance in the streets back in 2007 and caught it then and there that he was evil, but that's just not it. The real actual effect that the symbiote has is that it intensifies Pete, emotionally and physically. It brings out the hate, the anger, also while all making him stronger, faster, more durable, and overall just better, to the point where he becomes addicted, and he becomes more and more dependent the more he uses it. And even though he's blinded by the way it makes him feel, it does make him emotionally vulnerable. Even though in his eyes, he feels the exact opposite. He's feeling invulnerable, impenetrable, unstoppable. Other big words that mean the same thing that I can't think of right now. But like I've said, we've seen some of it. He's more aggressive. He's more blunt. He is more confident. And he's just overall just an asshole. And I love it. I can't lie. But there is one thing that you have to remember. Black suit or no black suit, it's always just Peter. Any one of his actions, anything he says, it's all still just Peter. It's not the black suit causing him to do these things or say these things. It all is just him. It's just that the black suit makes him feel in such a new and better way that he just says and does whatever the hell he wants just because he can. And all of it is just still him. And if you know the character, then you know that responsibility and accountability are absolute staples of Spider-Man. So we'll see it all play out in and out of the suit, because again, it's just Peter himself, and it's not immediate either. It's not like he takes the suit off and he's perfectly normal and fine again, or he puts it on and then he immediately becomes like that. That's not the case. It is a gradual growth. Like I said, the symbiote consumes him. He feels better and becomes more dependent on it the more he uses it, so he gradually grows to that point, or in this case, a steady decline to the darkest point of the character that we know of. And that's all just for Pete. I have no idea what could happen if the symbiote goes to Miles, or a third character that they're promoting to be Harry, but I don't think it's going to be Harry because, well, no reason. I just want Eddie Brock, pretty much, but I don't really mind if they do Harry. But I'm just more interested in seeing how it plays out and how it gets to that point, because, well, Harry has been on his deathbed, like, the entire universe up until this game. So if he does end up becoming this monstrous creature, there has to be some kind of downfall, because Venom is more than just this monstrous creature. And yeah, even though I did just call him that, it's badass, alright? But if you look deeper into it, he is much more than that. Venom is the perfect opposite of Spider-Man. Where there is hope, there is vengeance. Where there is love, there is hate. Where there's light, there's darkness. And Venom absolutely hates both Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And in this game, I'm going to assume both Spider-Men. So that's why I'm kind of iffy about it being Harry, unless there's some huge fallout between him and Pete, or him and Spidey, or both Spideys, or whatever. And by now, we all know the story, at least I hope. The symbiote bonds with Peter. Peter realizes how much he's changed, and he's become everything that he hates. He rejects the symbiote. The symbiote coincidentally finds a new host that also hates Peter and Spider-Man both. So, there goes Venom. And I just want to say real quick that I absolutely love the duality between them. Just Spider-Man versus Venom. And not only because it's just some cool hero versus villain moment, but it's because we're Spider-Man. Peter Parker is facing off against this monster, staring him down while it stares back, looking at the personification, the literal living embodiment of everything that Spider-Man vows to go against. And it goes even further, and it makes it all even better when you've seen the story play out, and you've seen that darkness, that cruelty and hatred in Peter, and that being what he actually is. But now it's back. It's his own living embodiment of that darkness. This living nightmare that Peter swore to never become, and can now only see himself. Just this monstrous being that goes against everything that Spider-Man stands for. It's his own dark reflection that he has no choice but to go up against. Physically, emotionally, mentally, and pretty much just all of the above. God, I cannot wait to see Insomniac's take on it. I absolutely believe in them to the fullest. But, I shall be here waiting impatiently for them to deliver. But I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk, but I think I spent a little too much time on that stuff. But, I wanted to get that out there. That's been building up for a while now, so I'm finally getting it all out. But now we can move on. But before we do move on, I want to say one more thing about the black suit. And this may be jumping the gun a little, but I don't really care. I need to see Shocker. I don't care if he's a main story villain, or as a side quest, or literally anything. Just put him in the game so they can recreate the iconic scene from the animated series where Peter is wearing the black suit and he's just chasing him to the ends of the earth, as he says. I need that recreation so goddamn bad. And if he does end up being in the game, I'm leaning towards, hopefully, they're probably going to do it, just because it's great. And now that I actually bring up Shocker, I love him. I think he's underrated. But then again, I also love every other lower tier villain that exists, so maybe not. But moving on, going from the symbiote to a different villain, a main villain in this game that has crossed paths with the symbiote in the past in comics that they'll probably take direct inspiration from. Let's talk about Kraven the Hunter. Sergey. I'm a fan of pretty much everything that they've shown us so far from him, besides all the techie and robotic stuff. But it's not really for him, it's like only for his army, which is kind of odd, but then again, not really. I'm just glad it's not him that's being modernized and all. And it's good, because they're keeping him as his core character. A traditional hunter. A bloodthirsty animal of a human being. That is what he is. And he's only ever had one motive, and that is to fight. Kraven wants a worthy challenger, someone worthy and capable of actually standing toe-to-toe with him. He wants an equal, as he says himself. And this want, this desire, turns into an obsession. Then where we see him looking on at New York, where both Spideys reside, everyone in the raft, Lizard, which I haven't even talked about yet, Taskmaster, which I also want to, Wraith, oh my god, and so on. But like I mentioned earlier, the story that they cross paths in is Kraven's Last Hunt, which has a multitude of things that I hope that they add in the game. And if you're not too familiar with it, I'll give you a little summary. It might be a little half-assed, but whatever. In the story, we have an old and retired Kraven that has done literally everything, all except defeating Spider-Man, the one thing that has always failed, the thing that he can never hunt. So he becomes more and more obsessed with this idea, and in this story, he actually ends up defeating Spider-Man. And he actually ends up literally burying Peter alive, which does end up in a really cool-ass panel, an awesome sequence that Peter is literally crawling out of this grave that he's buried in, which I hope really ends up in the game, because that would be so goddamn badass, but who knows. But meanwhile, while Peter is seemingly dead and he's buried, Kraven has this copy that he made of the black suit, that he's going around as Black Suit Spidey, proving his own worth and proving that he is superior to the real Spidey. And in the midst of all this, he's killing criminals left and right, but there's a villain that gets involved named Vermin. And by the end of the story, Spider-Man, the real one, Peter Parker, cannot take down Vermin. Whatever he does, he can't defeat him, but Kraven can. So Kraven sees this as seeing his own worth, and seeing that he is superior to the Spider-Man. No matter what, he can do and is capable of what the Spider-Man cannot. So he sees himself superior to Spidey, and with this, he feels complete. So, in the end, Kraven the Hunter has completed every hunt. He's pretty much finished his life's work as this ultimate accomplishment. And in the end, he's at peace. So he ends up offing himself. And yeah, that's how it ends. And it is an incredibly dark story, and I'm not sure how far Insomniac is actually willing to go, but honestly, I want to see them go balls deep. I want to see as far as they possibly can go, and I really don't give a shit about crossing any lines, but unfortunately, I know that I can't get what I want all the time, so that's that. And of course, they have to worry about the game's rating, plus the kids will probably play this, but if you ask me, if we're getting that, then I don't give a shit about the kids. But realistically speaking, they're probably not going to go too far with it, but I would like to see some stuff. Mostly that scene of Peter crawling out of the grave that he's buried in, because that would just be sick. That would be the best button mashing experience in gaming history, right there. Make that it. Insomniac, please. And I would also say the ending, but that's only if they're never planning to use Kraven ever again. And if that's how his story and his character ends, like literally ends like that, then they could do it. But it needs to be perfect, because if it's not perfect, then I don't want it. It would just be a waste. And that actually brings me to another point of just in general, over comics and games and movies and all. The comic book genre as a whole does something that I can never understand, and that it kills off villains even when they're not crucial to the plot or story. And you know what? I will start ranting my ass off. Let me stop. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I could talk a lot more about it, and that could be a whole different video, whole different thing. So I'll wait to talk about that. Let's stick to the ground, to the friendly neighborhood, you know, Spider-Man. Oh, and Vermin. It would be cool to see Vermin too. Not only because of Kraven's Last Hunt, but that's just a whole new villain that they can introduce. Plus, I think he does fit pretty damn well into that whole, like, beast, animal, primal hunting theme. That whole thing that they have going on. You get it. Well, hopefully. If you don't get it, then I'm just going to pretend you do and move on anyways. But, moving on to the next character that does fit it, that we see for ourselves. Trust me, we've all seen him. You literally cannot miss him. It is the Lizard. We have seen Kurt Connors in the past games thanks to the post-credit scenes, so we saw that, and automatically everyone's thinking, are we going to get the Lizard? Then these new trailers drop, and you watch it, and it's like, oh, Lizard. Oh my god. Holy shit. He is massive. And you already know what I'm going to say. Of course, I love it. I've loved everything that they've shown us so far, and I've loved everything that I've talked about so far. So is it a surprise? No, not really. Not at all, actually. But I actually am really fond of the more monstrous approach to it. I've just always found that really damn cool. And he even sheds, which causes him to get bigger and bigger. And of course, I have no idea how far they're going to go with that. But he could end up looking like a literal kaiju at some point later in the game. Like Godzilla. I doubt it, because that just seems a little too far. But who knows? Seeing the Lizard like this reminded me of Killer Croc from the Arkham series. Not only because they're both gigantic reptilian villains, but also this sequence right here from the gameplay footage reminded me of this immediately from Arkham Asylum. So if you know, you know, and if I had any doubt in my mind that this level is going to be fun as hell, then this just pushed it to a guarantee. But this whole thing is either a love it or hate it situation, and I'm on board with it. I wouldn't change a thing, besides maybe, just maybe, throwing a lab coat on him for shits and giggles, because why the hell not? But I am curious to see how much they lean into the broken mentorship of their relationship, that teacher and student aspect, because we got it already in the first game with Peter and Otto, and it was amazing, yet so goddamn heartbreaking. So they might not do it that much this time around, so we'll have to wait and see. But there still needs to be some emotional weight. Even if it's not in that aspect, there is still going to be some heavily because of what we could see going on. And if you're not able to put the pieces together yet, I'll do it for you. But Harry Osborn, you know, everyone's best friend, is dying. And Kurt Connors, being the only one able to save him, is running around the city as a gigantic lizard, which is also being hunted for death. So obviously, shit is out of whack and it is chaos. So yeah, there's bound to be some emotions, to say the least. But during this whole chase sequence, they're through the rivers, the waterfront, and all these new areas, which I haven't even talked about. This new map that we're getting is absolutely huge. It is literally double the size of the original one, which was pretty spacey. We're getting entire new areas, such as Brooklyn and Coney Island, and Peter's classic hometown, Queens, which also has Midtown High, the school Peter went to, and Kurt Connors' own home as well. And that's only basing it off of the trailers. There's probably much more, and I cannot wait to get into the game myself and explore all the new areas, and even the map from before, all over again. bit by goddamn bit. But alright, I got a little sidetracked, I'll admit, but I wanted to mention that anyways, at some point, like I said, I've gone a while without talking about this game, so I'm just dumping it all in one video. But I don't know how I went so far without mentioning Spider-Man himself. But not the Spidey that we talked about already, but Miles Morales. And never mind. Nah, just messing around. I really do not get all the complaints and all the fuss and big hoopla about his goddamn haircut. I mean, it looks cool, I guess. Doesn't really affect me. Just a new design choice, so doesn't really matter to me. But the thing is with this is that, like I mentioned earlier, the mentorship. And with this, it goes along as well with Peter and Miles and how it affects them. And it's going to deeply, because now that Peter is different with the symbiote, and it's going to come off on everyone else around him, and Miles is going to be one of, if not the most affected by it. So at some point in the game, Miles will probably see that Peter has gone too far, and there will be some conflict between the two. And if that does happen, I am really, really hoping for what I'm about to bring up. Because I've been on my knees hoping and hoping, even since the first post-credit scene, that there was a chance in the future that we might get the black suit. And I have been hoping and hoping, and here I am, still hoping to God that we get an epic battle between these Spider-Men. And I'm talking on this huge, massive, epic battle between the two, web slinging, mid-air fighting, through buildings, destroying the streets, a long, hard-fought battle between the two that is mentally, physically, and emotionally jarring on both of them. I want to see it got so goddamn bad, and it has potential to be one of the best gaming moments ever. At least for the superhero genre, for sure. I want a raw and brutal exchange between the two, blow for blow, web for web, all that. It's a battle of morals, of responsibility, and for the greater good, and a battle between two of the same hero, which would just be sick to see. Plus, I know a lot of others have speculated that Miles' Venom could be a weakness to the symbiote, which, if that does occur, it could spice it up a good bit. But that's one of the things that I want to see most, and I really hope that we get. But unfortunately, we have to wait, and there's no promises. But one thing that we are getting, for sure, Martin Lee's in the game, and Miles is pissed the hell off. I mean, for good reason. But he's probably asking the same question that I am. Why the hell is Martin Lee here? Is he important to the story? Does he play any crucial parts? Does he die? Is he gonna shave that shit off? But seriously, I really have no input on this, because we don't know anything about him, and honestly just have no idea what he's doing here. But next up, we have Harry Osborn, aka maybe Venom. Like I had mentioned earlier, all the promotion and marketing for this game all points to Harry being Venom, which could very well not be the case. But it could also be. It's kind of weird right now. But I'd already talked about Harry somewhat throughout all the other characters and the plot and all, so I don't have much to say. And we also haven't seen much of him. We know what he wants and what he's doing so far from the story trailer, but we don't know everything. Again, we don't even know if he's Venom or not. But again, we do know one thing for damn sure. He is dying. And he is deathly ill, and the symbiote was helping him stabilize. It helped him to the point where he's now conscious, and he's out of that back to the tank that he was in for the first two games. So he must be doing better, or I could see him forcing himself to not be in that tank just so he can live his life, not trapped in that glass cage, pretty much. And there's been one clear motive that he has had from the start, even from the original game, and that is what he says himself. He wants to heal the world and make the world a better place, which we actually helped him with as Spidey in the first game, with all the little Oscorp huts all around on the rooftops, helping out the environment and doing what Harry couldn't. So now he wants to just heal the world and make it a better place, which I think also lines up with what Venom says later on. It's literally the same thing.
We're going to heal the world.
But when Venom says it, it could mean something else entirely. I think it's the exact opposite. I could see it as it being Venom wanting to heal the world the same way, but seeing it in an entirely different perspective, wanting to maybe kill literally everything and purge the world, and that being his way of fixing it and healing the world, you know, in his own dark and twisted vision. And that being said, I think that covers pretty much everything. I didn't talk about the gameplay too much because I'm kind of late on this whole topic and just wanted to make a video and just talk about it overall and what I want to see and what I think. I can make more videos as well, but if you missed it, the gameplay is absolutely phenomenal. Both Spider-Man have different abilities, and it is just insane. I cannot wait to fuck shit up as Black Suit Spidey, and Miles with his new abilities too. And God, I can't wait for this game. There's also speculation about Venom being playable. I doubt it, but it would be a very, very welcome surprise. Trust me, I would shit myself. And on that note, I think it's a good time to call the video. I'll probably make more videos on it. If you're interested, you know, stay around a while. If not, then it doesn't matter to me. So leave a like on the video, pretty please. Feel free to comment whatever the hell you want. Let me know what you think of the video and everything from the game that we've seen so far and what you want to see next. And props to all of you who actually watch this goddamn far into the video. I applaud you and thank you. But bye-bye now. Subscribe. God, I cannot wait for October 20th. Holy shit.